Hello, everyone. It's Monday, January 22nd, 2018 at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, and this is Admissions Live. I'm your host, Nicole Lentini, and on today's live broadcast, we're talking about the changes coming to Facebook and how that can impact your institution's marketing reach. Admissions Live is part of the Higher Ed Live network. Our episodes offer you direct access to the best and brightest minds in education. Be part of our live broadcast by sharing your knowledge. Participate in today's discussion by tweeting us using the hashtag HigherEdLive. All of our episodes are free and easy to access in the video archives at higheredlive.com, or take Higher Ed Live with you on the go by subscribing to the podcast. Higher Ed Live is sponsored by NRCCUA, a membership organization supporting student success for over 44 years. NRCCUA members gain access to the Encora Data Lab platform, gaining access to a wealth of data and analytics to drive better enrollment decisions. Additionally, Encora Data Lab supports digital marketing strategies, helping you to combine the data in your inquiry pool with high-impact social media engagement strategies tailored to your institution. Learn more and get started at encora.org. Produced by M. Stoner, a digital-first agency committed to tailored solutions that drive real results. Have you ever wondered what prospective teens are thinking when they receive and read or ignore your institution's recruitment marketing? The third study in the myth-busting series, in partnership with today's sponsor, NRCCUA, is the first to focus on the complete enrollment marketing mix. The research will uncover the best marketing channels and communication preferences that have the biggest influence on prospective teens' perception of your institution. Sign up now and receive early access to the research results and white paper releasing this month. Without further ado, I would love to introduce my three guests. So rather than me introducing the three of you, I'd love for you to just take a moment to introduce yourself, your position and where you are currently working, and kind of a little bit about the work you do on a day-to-day basis here in higher ed. So Kara, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. Hi. Thanks so much for having me. I really am excited to talk about some of these changes, but I am a web producer and social media specialist for the College of Science at Northeastern University in Boston, not to be confused with that other school in Chicago. Every day I am in charge of all of our websites. We just actually finished a redesign in November of all of our department and program websites. So we took about 12 websites, put them into one. So I'm in charge of all of the content, daily upkeep, and all of the changes that go along with that. In addition, I oversee all of the college's social media channels. So certainly trying to stay abreast of all of the changes that we see, not just within Facebook, but other channels as well.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. How about Logan? How about you?
Hi, I'm Logan Bishop. I am the Web and Digital Media Manager at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm responsible for our digital strategy. So that includes web, social media, and video.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And finally, Chris.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Dorso. I am an Assistant Director of Enrollment Communications here at Stony Brook University in New York. And I've been running our social platforms across campus here for the last 8 or 9 years or thereabouts. We, like many big universities, have a number of channels that number in the hundreds across campus from all the various media. And our challenge is trying to figure out really the best way to make all this stuff work. And it's sort of like the age-old question of what exactly we're doing on the social end and how all the various tentacles across campus work together to get the best possible results and ultimately meet the goals of our university. So it's good, and I'm excited to be back here on Higher Ed Live. It's been a long time, so happy to be back.
It's nice to have you back. I know a lot of folks that are viewing remember many of your shows that you hosted, so nice to have you back on. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic. It's been huge in conversation across a lot of spaces that I'm in, online and offline, actually. And we are going to really try to pick apart what this update's going to look like for Facebook, but also I think all of us agree that we don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet until it really rolls out and really starts impacting things. So a lot of this is going to be kind of what we believe it will look like and how we're going to start approaching this update and thinking about it with our channels in mind and our content in mind. I've also tweeted out the link to the press release from Facebook. So make sure you give it a look. It's coming from the Higher Ed Live Twitter handle. So give a look to that article. So while we're chatting also, I want to mention that we really want to make sure, any Higher Ed Live episode, we want to hear your questions and your thoughts. But since this is in the social sphere, tweet at us using the hashtag Higher Ed Live, and we'd love to address your questions to the best of our abilities. So I'm going to start out by kind of framing out what the changes were. And I took a quote directly from Adam Mosseri, Facebook's head of newsfeed, that explained in his press release, last week we announced major changes to newsfeed that are designed to help bring people closer together by encouraging more meaningful connections on Facebook. As a result, people will see less public content, including news, video, and posts from brands. According to the company, they will prioritize posts that spark conversations and meaningful interactions between people. And to do this, it will predict which posts you might want to interact with your friends about and show these posts higher in your feed. So this is a lot of kind of things to sift through. So what are you all anticipating to have that impact on your page?
Well, I really see that this is really going to affect the kinds of content that we post, because since folks are really going to be seeing the content that is shared by friends and family and such, we really should focus a lot on shareable content that we know folks will want to repost, and hopefully those kinds of things will help drive the content onto folks' news feeds. So I mean, that's the big thing. So maybe more video, more images and interesting stuff as far as that kind of thing goes.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, and I think it's sort of the drum I've been beating for years is that we're so focused on this now, and there's so much noise out there in all of your various feeds that when your audience is scrolling through their feeds, you want to have something that's going to grab them. And to Logan's point, that's becoming more and more visual and something that they're going to do something with and they're actually react to, and not, oh, that's nice, and just kind of keep scrolling. And I think it's always been the challenge, but it just becomes more important now with the way that the feeds are changing.
Yeah, I think you both make a really good point that it's something that we should already be kind of doing well anyway, but it's really gonna take that up to the next level, right? By really prioritizing the newsfeed in this way. So it's gonna really lean on us to think about how to make it more shareable and content that people actually want to share with their friends, with their family.
Right, and I think to that point, it's interesting because even here on campus with the different colleges, and then obviously with the main university account, that varies from college to college and within the university, just what that information is. Maybe maybe they are videos, but they're very different types of videos. Maybe they are images, but they're very different types of images. So even within the subsets or in the subdivisions that you have within the universities and the colleges, even that, you have to pay particular attention to, just because you don't necessarily want to take the lead from one group, because that might not be what your particular audience is looking for.
Absolutely. That's a really, really great point, is that it's not a one size fits all kind of approach. We all have to kind of have a sense of who our populations are, our audiences. And I think it's interesting too, given your different roles, that for maybe not all three of you, but for most of you, you're not just working with one individual office or one small group of people. There's multiple constituents on your campus that you have to kind of be taking in this information and making sure to share it on your pages. So do you see this significantly impacting how you take in that information from folks across campus, and what you say, yes, I can share this out, and no, I can't, and these are the reasons why? How is that going to impact that kind of relationship and that kind of intake of stories?
Absolutely. Well, I'll just jump.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Logan.
Okay.
What I was just going to say is that I think that that's, it's unfortunate because within some places, they don't have as many hands on deck or, people who are able to help. So it might be that all they're able to create is a simple announcement or whatever the case may be. Whereas there might be another group or individual or unit that has, maybe they have really involved students and they recognize these changes and they say, okay, we really want to get, people to our event, or we really want to showcase what we've been able to do with research. And they're the ones who lead, and they're the ones who are able to, create a great video or do a Facebook Live or whatever the case may be. And it's unfortunate because those other units that don't have those resources, you find yourself saying, okay, well, I can't do that, and here are the reasons. Let's try to do that, and sometimes it just doesn't work, and you're stuck between a rock and a hard place in that case because you really do want to help them, but you're also dealing with a lot yourself too.
Yeah,
well, for us too, I think there's going to be some level of managing expectations too. Mm-hmm. And not just focusing on Facebook as a medium, but also look at Instagram as a way to get folks to to events and such, like using Instagram stories to help promote things, because that does pop up at the top still over time. And, obviously Twitter too. So, being able to leverage different social networks. Also, for us, I would suggest, leveraging our Facebook groups that we have for each class. Our Facebook groups are still very active, even after they get here. Those admitted student Facebook groups are still a place for students to talk about stuff. So there's still the ability there, especially now that you can post as the brand of the university within those groups to really push things out.
That's a great point, and one I want to kind of loop back to later, that I know in making this release, they talked about some of the things that you've brought up. So events, Facebook Live, the groups, and kind of interaction there. So it's interesting to see if we're going to see a significant shift.
Right.
Did you have anything to add, Chris, especially I think being the most kind of central to admissions? How do you think this is going to impact us?
Yeah, and it's funny because everybody has sort of said lots of really interesting points that that's one of the challenges when you get everybody on one thing. I have like 15 different things I want to say, and I want to figure out how to respond the right way. So I think, Kara's point of, getting people out to an event or whatever, it's really a matter of understanding, it's the whole goals, not tools thing. The Facebook is just one piece of the puzzle, and there may be better ways to get your message out. I mean, one of my not great regrets, but one of my regrets was I got a text from a colleague in student life a couple of years back with a picture from an event that was going on at that moment. And she said, can you post this to Instagram, because we don't have a really strong attendance. And so I just slapped it up on the Instagram account because I had nothing else going at the particular time. And they had this influx of people. And so all of a sudden, Instagram became like this magic button that I was like, okay, whoa, slow down. It really is managing expectations. Just slapping a picture up does not guarantee that people are going to start coming to your event. And it's a matter of figuring out, again, where your audience is, as we said, and then how they want to see the things that you're pushing out to them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's an excellent point. And I think all three of you said it in different ways and in different constituents, but that managing expectations piece is so huge with this upcoming change. And I think it's fitting, actually. It was shared with me that today is Community Manager Appreciation Day. So I appreciate all of you, all of those community managers out there tuning in on the panel, because this isn't easy work, and you're constantly trying to keep up with new logarithms, new changes, new updates. I mean, Logan, you mentioned that about Twitter, but then Twitter changed their logarithm. So, it's not necessarily content as it's happening either. So it's not an easy job to kind of keep on top of all this. So I think managing expectations with your VPs, with other folks that you're working with different offices that you're working with, like Kara said, and that you said as well, Chris, is going to be huge with this change, or I guess any change that comes up along the way.
Well, I think that expectation thing is important because, if the way that the algorithm is going to change again. Speaking specifically to Facebook, I think we're a big place, and there are lots of stories. We have enough content to post 5 times a day on Facebook if we wanted to, but we know that posting that often doesn't work, and it decreases things. So when a story that I know isn't going to have the kind of legs that the department that's sending it to me expects, there's, I don't want to say letting them down easy, but like trying to say, okay, yeah, this may really be compelling content to you and your 40 majors, but to our nearly 50,000 fans, it's not compelling enough. Like there's no visual, or there's no reason for people to stop in their feed and be like, oh, hey, friend, check this out. Hey, mom, check this out, whatever. And so, back in the old days when you could just sort of throw off a post, when we had our prime times and we had our off times. And so if there was a post that I kind of had to post, like I would just post it during one of the off times. Okay, yeah, it went up and it got 8 likes and it's great. Oh, yeah, 8 likes, congratulations. Without, necessarily impacting everything else that we did, or at least so we thought. But now everything ties together. So it'll be interesting to see that change.
The other thing, too, that I think schools are going to have to just change is the mindset that everything on Facebook's free.
Yes.
The way now to get stuff in front of eyes is going to be putting money behind boosted posts and doing it strategically, being able to understand, okay, so we have these posts this week. Where do we want to put our allocated budget of money for this week? Which posts? How do we want to do it? Those kinds of things. And actually have a budget for how you're going to, a yearly budget, whatever, for boosting posts. I mean, that's one thing that I think I'd like to ask for now is having a real budget so that I know, what I can boost and, start thinking strategically about, how we're going to do it. Because these days, getting students to events, getting content in front of the eyes of prospective students, those kinds of things, we're going to have to focus a lot on ads, and we're going to have to focus a lot on boosted posts.
Yeah, and like here's the great thing about boosting posts and putting money behind it is, yes, it's going to cost money, obviously, and nobody has money these days. But to Logan's point, like that's how you're going to get eyeballs. Ultimately, that's the easiest way to do it. And the great thing about that is that your higher ups, your VPs, and all those kinds of folks who are sitting in budget meetings, they want to see numbers, right? Putting money behind some of this stuff is a great way to get really, really compelling numbers. When we did our sort of year in review, looking back at what went well in 2017, we didn't put a whole lot of money behind things, but we learned a lot from looking back the things that we did put money behind. And I was like, you know what? We spent a lot of money on here and we didn't get the return that we wanted, but look what happened with this, the way that we targeted this. So, what can we learn for, even if it's just a couple $100, how we got eyeballs. That's the currency of the internet is eyeballs. And these days, if it's the whole, if you're not paying for it, then you're the product. So pay for it. Like that's the way to take ownership of it. If you're not happy with, if you want to just let Facebook do what Facebook's going to do, then you're going to get what you're going to get. But if you want to kind of force the issue, you're going to have to put some money behind it.
Well, and the beauty of it is that you can really target those to the people that you want to see the particular thing. For instance, we want to get students to, one of our, visit days or preview days. We can target directly to, maybe areas that we, geographic areas where we want students to come from, or a particular age group, obviously, all that kind of stuff. It's very powerful, and it lets you, get stuff in front of the eyeballs you want it to be, rather than just shouting it out to everybody. Because I'm sure our students on campus appreciate knowing when we have a preview day, so they know when not to come outside, or what days they can sleep in. But yeah.
It's interesting. I had a conversation with somebody in this field not that long ago, after this news came out, and she was saying, don't put money into Facebook. And I kind of tilted my head and made the little funny noise, huh? And she said, well, Facebook can pull anything out from underneath you at any moment, which is entirely true because, as of today, I had in my Facebook feed on this date 3 years ago an article that was, hey, you're going to see more of your friends' posts than the page posts. So, I mean, clearly, obviously, and we all know this, but Facebook can do whatever it wants. Any of these platforms can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants to do anything. But in the moment, when you know that you are able to invest and get the return, why not? It might not be the panacea for everything and all, for the duration of time, sure. But in the moment. So we didn't necessarily see eye to eye on that one. But I think that you guys make great points. Like, obviously, if you need to get this in front of people, it's a pay to play at this point.
Yeah. And it doesn't, it's easy to think from an admissions standpoint. And obviously I do, because that's my job. But we had a community event this fall where we were trying to get word out to specifically to the community and specifically to families. And so they said, oh, can you price up, how much, here's what we have to spend. Can you price this out? I said, great, fantastic. So I priced it out, and I sort of shrunk the target to like what would likely be a parent range, like mid-20s to mid-40s. And, I was able to expand the circle much bigger than they thought and save the money. So and that's sort of the joy of Facebook that you don't necessarily have on the other platforms, is that Facebook knows so much about us, for better or worse, that it's a marketer's dream, quite frankly, because you can really get to exactly what you want. Whereas on the Twitter and on the Twitter, how the hell old am I? I'm getting my goodbye. All right, I'm done.
Bye.
Stay off my yard, little boy.
Get off my Twitter. So anyway, Facebook allows you to do that, and you got to take advantage of that when you can.
Well, Facebook lets you upload email addresses to target to that level. I mean, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with Facebook. Not only measure conversions, you can, as I said, like really target to a specific group of people, just their email addresses. You can retarget people that have come to your website before. I mean, you can do all kinds of amazing, awesome things with Facebook. But that's the thing is, we knew this day was coming. We were going to have to pay to play. And I think that day's here. Absolutely.
Well, and I'm curious, you've all talked about it a lot, and in terms of, moving in this direction, but have you already started sort of taking a look at past strategies and really looking at like, okay, this is where we're going to do more paid? Have you really taken a shift of like incorporating more paid into it? Or, how are you sort of balancing that organic versus paid content?
Well, we've really started using more paid ads this year. Especially from an admissions standpoint. But as far as boosting posts, that is something that I think we're going to plan to do more in the future.
Anybody else, either of the two of you, making significant changes, or are you kind of going to see how it goes and then make shifts as needed?
On our end, we're more of a let's see how things go. Because we're a college within the university. I know at the university level, they're definitely looking at it differently. But within us, it's more of a wait and see.
Makes sense.
Yeah, there's a good, not to steal your thunder, Nicole, but there's a good question that I just saw on Twitter from Chris Norris asking about how the changes will affect ads and will it drive the cost up? And I think that's a legitimate question, because if Facebook ain't stupid. They know that this is a move designed to make them more money. So if they can find a way, if they know that we're willing to put more money into it, well, then those circles are going to start to shrink, based on the money. But I think, sort of to answer the question, I think we don't know yet, unfortunately, as is the cop-out answer for any social media question, unfortunately. But, I think it's the kind of thing that we'd have to sort of be aware of when we're thinking about budgeting and all those kinds of things. Because even if you do say, okay, we've got $5,000 to budget Facebook stuff for the year, we don't know. What is this, January? By June, what that, $500 a month is going to buy us or whatever. So it is a good question.
Absolutely. And you can take the host out of Admissions Live, but you can't take the Admissions Live out of the host. Is that what I was going for? Yeah. So
I saw the question. I was like, oh, we got a question. I have to answer it. No, I don't have to answer it. That's Nicole's job to answer it. Sorry, I'll stop.
It's all good, and it's a good little reminder during the broadcast that if you do have questions or thoughts, I've seen lots of folks quoting us and kind of commenting on what's being said. So yeah, if you have questions, please use the hashtag #HiredLive, and Chris will catch them before I do. So we'll make sure we get them answered on air.
Chris Norris from Mercyhurst.
Awesome. So while we're waiting to see other tweets that come in, I thought this was pretty interesting. So our colleague, Dr. Liz Gross, who's a founding director of Campus Sonar, she was quoted by Erica Fields in a Carnegie Communications article. And she said, "This will force the old school marketers that wanted to use Facebook as a bulletin board to listen to their engagement-minded social media strategists and post content that actually spurs discussion and social interaction if they want to be seen in the newsfeed." And I loved that because I like the thought of using these changes as new opportunities and opening the door to maybe play in some spaces that we haven't in the past. So obviously, there's a little bit of, keeping some things under wraps if you want to, but is there anything you're already thinking about starting to do more of this year as a result of this change and taking advantage of those opportunities that you would be willing to share?
Yeah,
sure.
So as I said at the outset, we have 1 million social media tentacles across campus, and it's always sort of been the answer to every question is let's just have it go out on the main university channels. And in not every case is that necessarily the best option. And so the joy of data and the joy of the breadth of the tentacles allows us to say if there's something that a particular college, if it's really tailored to your audience, let's let you lead with the story. So if it's a story that affects our school and marine and atmospheric sciences, it's a research story or an environmental story, whatever, we're trying to sort of push the content to some of the off channels to kind of boost them a little bit. And then we'll share it from the main page if it's something that kind of has enough legs, but we're really trying to push the smaller channels to encourage folks to engage with them more, because that, again, now with this change, that's how they're going to get seen, is if they're engaging more. So we're trying to get those smaller accounts to really put a little beef behind what they're doing.
Very cool. Kara, it sounded like you wanted to share something too. Oh, did I lose Kara? Oh, no, there you are.
Yep.
Oh, she might have froze. Logan, do you want to jump in while we see if we can get Kara back?
I do think that there are opportunities, especially to try and engage the real brand ambassadors that are out there throughout our community to help for them to help us share stuff, to help push out things and hopefully give a story a little bit more leg when it comes to the algorithm. Of course, who knows what the threshold for that is, but it'd be interesting to just test and kind of see, because I, for instance, have a social media street team that already goes out and shares stuff. Maybe we can, maybe I can leverage them more to share some of the stuff that I don't think is super interesting, but maybe we can make it seem interesting to the algorithm to push it out a little bit more. But it's really just gonna be interesting to see. And I think it's an opportunity for me to finally say, okay, well, we've got to really start investing in Facebook if we really want to use it. And, being that it's a network of, several billion people, I think it's still a very powerful network to use because everyone's on it. I mean, people may not use it that much, but there's parents are on it, the community's on it. So why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's the whole it's the whole Facebook is dead thing. I mean, I feel like I've been hosting these shows for how many years, and we've been talking about the death of Facebook since Facebook was born. So I will say the same thing that I've said. If y'all want to stop using Facebook, by all means, stop using Facebook, delete your pages. You're good to go. We're going to keep using it, and because we know it works, and the people are still there. Are they using it differently now? Yes. To Logan's point, absolutely. They definitely are. Of course they are. It's 2018. It's not 2014. They've grown older. I'm not using any of my apps the way I did 5 years ago. And so I think we need to change with it, or adjust our expectations, or both.
Definitely both.
Yeah. You're both making excellent points. And to hop back to what Logan said specifically, what you said about your street team, there was actually a question from Twitter from John Horowitz, thoughts on having an online ambassador program, for example, through Social Toaster, that can tap in a dedicated network of individuals to amplify and gamify institutional messaging, especially in the face of Facebook feed changes. So what I'm hearing from you is yes.
Though I definitely have just 15 volunteers that are there to kind of help me do that. Never thought about going outside using something like that, but definitely want to leverage what I certainly have right now, and not just that, but not just our social media students that are just helping out with that, but maybe the page leaders that are around campus. I mean, we at Belmont have at least 100, 150 Facebook pages out there. They're administrated by people. Those people could help amplify each other's messages.
Absolutely. Kara, I'm glad that we have you back. So we're still kind of discussing the same question of, what kind of opportunities do you think you're going to tap into? Anything new that you're going to try that may have been impacted by these changes? It sounded like you had something that you're thinking about doing. Nope. Uh-oh. Did we lose your audio?
We lost you.
How about that? You sound
perfect.
You're back.
Okay. Man, goodness. Not sure how that happened, but sorry, and thanks for bearing with me. But my, we're very research focused here in the College of Science, and specifically at Northeastern too. And so, one of the things that we really want to look at potentially doing is some more kind of live with the expert, but at a layman's level. Right. So, we have brilliant scientists here who could speak for days about what they're doing, but really bringing it to a level that, nearly everybody would be able to understand, and being able to offer a look at what those research opportunities would be for prospective students as well as graduate students, and really, what's happening here? What are we doing? So that's something that we're looking at, and it's a matter of coordinating all of that, in which I'm sure all of the community managers can can understand that that's not necessarily something that's easy, especially in a one person shop.
Yeah. Excellent. I'm so excited to see, some of these things are all bringing up and seeing the impact, because I think, they're all things that make sense and fit into that broader conversation of how do we engage people? How do we give content that people are excited about and excited to share? And I think this could open up the door to being able to try new things like that. We got a great question from Chelsea Doyle. Any thoughts on how to try and inspire engagement while also avoiding Facebook's anti-click hair warning? It feels like wording has to be careful for that. So I know this is another thing I saw in this release that they're going to be keeping an eye out for. Tell us what you think about this change in the comments, or even I know that there was a big push with this update that the response has to be a certain length long. So do you have any thoughts to questions you're going to ask, or ways that you're going to kind of try to inspire people to comment on the posts, or are you going to kind of just let the content speak for itself and hope that people are engaging with comments on it? Any thoughts on that?
And maybe it's just me, but I've kind of always been one of those folks that hates clickbaity stuff, and asking for comments and all of that kind of thing. We do it from time to time, but it's never something that we've done on a normal basis. So I think for us, we're really going to focus on making, shareable content that people care about. That's something that we really, really want to do, and not like try and game it any more than we already do. Because I don't know, people can see marketing from a mile away. So, if you're going to be marketing-y, then, be completely upfront about it. Or, if you're just trying to create things that, the community cares about, which is really what social media is about, that's really what you should be aiming for. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'll agree. I've always been a proponent of kind of capturing the moment, because I think that's really gets to the heart of what social is, and when social is done well. Not that you can't produce great content, but there's definitely a balance between sort of being there and having stuff that people will just jump on because it's live and because it's there. We had our move-in weekend, and one of our a cappella groups performed the alma mater at Convocation yesterday. And so we put up a quick video of them performing the alma mater during their sound check, and it was transcendent. And it was a minute long, and it was just one of those moments that nobody was in the room except me, our events person, and the 10 or 12 students who were in the group. And that moment would have been sort of lost to the ether if we just hadn't slapped it up there and let it fly. And like, they messaged me this morning that their Instagram following exploded because we tagged them, and that was that. So, that's what it's about. It's about, oh my God, did you see this? And people encouraging other people to see the things that they're enjoying.
What a lovely thought. Want to share this thing I'm enjoying with other people so that they can.
But isn't that like literally the whole point? Like, literally the whole point of social media is, hey, I saw this cool thing and I want you to see it too. Like, even if it's just a goofy, thought that you had, or a post or a picture or whatever. I slapped up on Facebook an hour ago a bunch of pictures of a German Shepherd and an owl who were best friends. There's nothing redeeming about that content at all, except that my daughter. Okay, fine.
You feel good.
Except the fact that my daughter, it's super cute. But like, my daughter loves German Shepherds and my son loves owls. So like, that to me is compelling content, at least to me and my wife. Like that.
So it's like social and media jazz hands.
But I think like, it's easy to lose the social piece. I think it's easy to get caught up in the media piece of, oh, we need to make pictures and we need to make videos, but they need to be engaging. They need to be fun. It's not just, oh, here's a picture. There needs to be a reason why the picture is compelling.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Hey, if we could all post German Shepherds and owls all day, I think that we would.
You would have one very happy 9-year-old follower for all of you. Except never allowed on social media ever. So there you go.
Well, you're even making me think of one of the, it was a few years ago, but I feel like one of the biggest engagement boosts that I heard about for our office was, or not our office, but our institution, was an April Fool's Day joke. It was just a press release. We didn't, at the time we weren't playing around with the homepage or anything. And it was about, there was a whole story to it, but that each first-year student would get a baby beaver because their mascot are the beavers. Mm-hmm. And the sheer amount of engagement it got because it was cute, because it was funny, because past students that maybe didn't realize that it was April Fool's Day were really confused. And, and it was just so interesting to see, like, things that are fun and make you smile and are shareable, they got legs, and there's a reason for that. And it's something that we should always be thinking about. And cute animals definitely help, but there's other really great content that isn't just cute animals that can have the same kind of legs when it comes to content.
We definitely followed suit. Last year, we promised puppy huskies. So thanks for leading the way on that, and enjoyed that engagement.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
But that's where, like, you know, it's important that the stuff that you're doing speaks to, you know, who you are as an institution. And so the example that I will forever use here at Stony Brook is Sharknado. So, you know, Sharknado burst on the scene. And we have a School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences that has a marine bio program and has an atmospheric science program. And so the combination of public sentiment around Sharknado and one of our research focuses, and so my counterpart down in SOMAS put together a minor in Sharknado studies that we took actual course descriptions, and we just added like little goofy things in the course descriptions, and we slapped up a brand new minor in Sharknado studies for April Fool's Day. And we've done it now, like we've done the same joke for 3 years. And
it's an interdisciplinary study.
Right. It's still funny. Like, people still respond to it. It was like our 9th most liked Facebook post of the year for 2017. And so, like, we were talking about in a meeting, and I'm like, hey, Sharknado 5 is coming this summer, so we better be ready. Like,
has it become a major now?
Yeah, because it talks to research, and it talks to, you know, like it talks about who we are, and it's not just goofy for the sake of being goofy. Like, there's some truth to it, and it helps people. That's what helps people connect to it.
Well, and that's a really, really good point, is it's not completely losing sight of you as an institution and your voice. And I think that's like an important point that, you know, because some folks might be watching this and like, yeah, but we have like other content we have to share that isn't, you know, silly things and puppies and all this. But I think, you know, you can still have a little bit of that institution voice and have some fun and also get more eyes on the other stuff that you're sharing as a result of getting good engagement on these posts.
I know we're running short on time, but there's another good question that I want to get everyone's thoughts on. Sorry, I know.
It's okay. I was looking at the questions too. Don't worry, but you go right ahead.
So Will Patch, where's Will from? Will's from Manchester University. Will asks if anyone else is planning to consolidate accounts, you know, to improve the reach and folks that have smaller reaches and things like that. And that is something that we finally, after years and years, we're trying to figure that out. We're trying to get a handle on that now, because everyone has their own little pocket of the web, all those tentacles. But if there's something that's not working, then we need to kind of cut bait and move on, because if it's not doing what they're trying to do, then we're just wasting our time on it. The challenge there, you know, for us is that, you know, if you are a Twitter account with 40 followers, it's really easy to say, oh, you only have 40 followers, there's not enough going on there. But if your 40 followers are engaged and they're, you know, part of your key constituency, whether that be alumni or media or community groups or whatever, well, then that's a really valid account, even though it only has 40 followers or 100 followers or whatever. So it's easy to get lost in the numbers, I think. But there definitely is the question of, you know, having a Facebook page just to have a Facebook page isn't going to fly anymore.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, and I've seen our community manager has done really, really great work trying to connect with different offices on campus and talking to them about what their goals are, because in some instances, a group might make more sense or a page might make sense, but, you know, there may be offices that can be consolidated together, like you said. So I think it's really knowing your institution and chatting with those spaces and trying to figure out how to meet their needs and what their goals are. It always comes back around to goals. And I think this is a really good example of that happening. Kara, Logan, did you have anything else to add to that? I know I have to see another question or two.
You guys definitely covered everything I was going to say. So
perfect. Kara looks like, okay, same there. I see a question also came in from Gil Rogers. Great commentary earlier about not spending on Facebook, or maybe not spending all on Facebook. Curious what all panelists are doing to diversify social channels. So any thoughts to that? I know, Logan, you talked a little bit earlier about Twitter and Instagram, but
I mean, we're definitely kind of diversifying our channels based off of the folks that we know that are looking at it. So we do push some stuff to say only Twitter or only Instagram, as opposed to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. But we're still really trying to figure out exactly which ones are best for what things. We found that events, for instance, actually do pretty well on Instagram stories, just promoting events there. especially student events. Not necessarily bigger like public events, but definitely like convocations or basketball games, things like that. And you know, we still use Facebook to, just to cover all of our bases. For instance, if there's like a big event and we just need to cover everything, we're still going to post it to Facebook, but it just really depends. And, as far as things go, I mean, the main stuff that we do right now is just Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I mean, we still do other stuff, but those are kind of the main four that we promote stuff through.
Absolutely.
I've been kind of surprised by how good LinkedIn is actually lately. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same about Instagram. We've definitely seen really good engagement for events with current students through Instagram, which is really nice. It's a great way for us to get our student groups involved, and also just in general the student population. So that's been a real treat. I know in other parts of the university, they're also looking at Twitter in terms of not necessarily people who have affinity to the university or the colleges, but people that they want to bring in. And so looking at ways that they're able to do that. So, still we're, at this point, we're still using it as more of a, kind of a, not quite a push notification, but yeah, kind of. But definitely, like Logan said, it's really been fun to watch it through Instagram and see the reactions through there.
Awesome. Well, I know that we got to wrap up soon, but if you don't mind, I have one more quick question, and I'm precluded to ask this because it's a Champlain alum that I'm seeing. But so social media consumption habits are changing with younger demographics. What trends are you seeing? How can Info help us hack the algorithm and reach prospective students? And that's from Lauren Swanson. So just any quick thoughts of kind of what trends are you seeing, and how are you going to use this moving forward to especially help your folks in admissions to think about how to best reach prospective students? And Logan, why don't you go first?
Well, as far as we go, I actually think that the two most powerful ways that you can reach prospective students are, well, when I say prospective, I mean up and down the funnel before admitted, but or before they paid their enrollment deposit. But our admitted student Facebook groups are just a big piece of how we connect with those students, and being able to, now we can have a story within the group, or we can do Facebook Live within the group, and all of that kind of fun stuff. Also, paid. I mean, it's just the best way, I think, even when you think of, just Facebook in general, paid advertising and paid boosted posts that go directly, they're targeted directly towards students and audiences that you want, are probably the most powerful tool you have to connect with prospective students. I mean, I hate to say that. I mean, I'm sure there's some way that you can hack the algorithm all day long, but, when it's just as easy as let's put some bucks behind it, I mean, that's kind of where you're at. At least as far as I know.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's, I guess it's sort of hacking the algorithm, but like you're feeding the algorithm the way you want it to work. We've seen it work with our winter session courses. We've seen it work with one of our graduate programs where we put some really targeted money behind it, and it worked. And I know that's easy to say, oh, you're a big university, you have lots of money. Well, we don't, and it doesn't necessarily have to cost a lot of money if you target it right. And so it's I don't know if you can hack the algorithm necessarily, because Facebook's going to do what Facebook's going to do. But you kind of help nudge it in the right direction, and then the pieces start to fall together.
Kara, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to add to the, I don't know that we can hack, because as I said before, Facebook going to do what Facebook going to do. And when it wants to change it, it's going to change it. So, if they see that it's not working in their favor, they're going to change it again. So, let's figure out what we're doing in the moment, and then, see what works, see what doesn't work, and try to go with the flow as much as possible.
Awesome. I think that's a really great thought to end on, is just, kind of embracing these changes that are coming and go with the flow, but with a good strategy in mind to kind of start to navigate these changes. So I'm really excited. I'm terrified, but excited with these changes coming around the corner. And if you are a community manager out there, we appreciate the work that you do. Thank you for navigating these changes as they come along. If you're not, go thank your community manager. And I know a few of you are still tweeting some questions. I'm sorry we can't get to all of them, but all three of these fantastic people are on Twitter. So I'm going to share out their handles. So please feel free to continue engaging with them, because I know they're happy to chat with you about these topics and have some more conversations. So thank you three, for being on the panel today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you, as always, to our program sponsors, NRC CUA and M Stoner. Thanks for joining us today, and I will see y'all next month.